Thanks so much for hopping on with me today. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do at Gold Athletics?
Yeah, so I'm the sales support and recruiting manager, and it's kind of a ever evolving role, to be honest with you. I used to work at Gold Athletics as an intern. I started in 2018, and just different life events happened, and I had to transition out, but now I'm back and happier than ever.
What do you enjoy most working now as a fundraising sales support, and you're also a recruiting manager, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot on my plate at the current moment, and I think the ideal situation eventually is to build out a team underneath me or, underneath whoever is in this role going forward. But hope is that there's going to be more people to kind of take on some of those different facets of my role and kind of report into whoever's in this position, whether it be me or somebody else. What I enjoy about my job right now is just kind of helping people and being able to facilitate like communication throughout the organization.
Most of us are remote. We're talking from state to state. So it's awesome to hear a little bit about that. What's the best part about being sales support and recruiting manager? I know you said you enjoy helping people, but is there anything in particular?
I'm kind of like the go-to person for the sales rep. So if they don't know who to go to, I'm the person they go to, and I can kind of tailor my answers to their questions based on what I know about the organization or find out from other people what the answer to those questions are. And honestly, a lot of my job is just talking to people all day, which I love, and figuring out where there are issues and where I can step in and help, or where I can bring upper level management into conversations.
If you had to describe the company culture at Gold Athletics in just a few words, what would you say?
Supportive and growth oriented. Right now, we're kind of in an upwards trajectory where Matt is hiring a ton of people, which is awesome. Even going off of that, the supportive nature really has carried over from us being a company of honestly, I don't even remember how many it was when I first came in, like maybe less than 10. And then to now where we have 20 to 30 employees, which is awesome. But that supportive culture has not left since I was an intern. And just the people that we're hiring are just amazing and great people who are all super supportive of one another and all focused on growing the organization and getting to a point where this is kind of out of the startup realm and more into the true corporate environment, which is cool.
So you started as an intern. Tell me a little bit about how you got your role, how you heard about Gold Athletics, and what that trajectory was like.
I started at Gold Athletics when I was in college. And I got my internship just through Indeed, I think. First interview, it just seemed like everybody was, again, going back to that supportive word, very supportive, very growth oriented. It seemed like a fast growing company where there would be a lot of opportunities to expand myself in my career. I'm a very growth oriented person and like those kind of crazy, for lack of a better word, startup environments where you have your hand in a lot of pots. And that was the most interesting aspect to me as an intern. And then growing into a manager role at this point, honestly, a lot of that was just staying in contact with Matt and Alex over the years and knowing eventually, I think deep down that I did want to come back in some capacity because like I said, the choice to leave wasn't necessarily my ideal situation. It was just life happened and COVID happened and
Hmm.
I I wanted to come back the whole time, but it had to be the right time and the right role for me. And thankfully, we were able to make it work like 2.5 years later.
Here you are, yeah.
Yeah.
So was there anything you didn't know when you started that you wish you did know?
If I'm thinking back to being in college and taking my initial internship, I don't know because it's just such a different company and situation than it was those couple of years ago. But I think what anybody has to realize about coming into an upstart environment is that it's going to be a lot of work. You're going to have a lot of responsibilities on your shoulders, and being able to communicate is huge. Like you have to be able to talk to, whether it be your boss or whether it be your coworkers, you have to be able to talk to them about where things are becoming too much versus where you can step on the gas a little bit. And I think that's what's great about an upstart or startup environment is that you can have those conversations and kind of tailor your role to exactly what you want rather than having a company tell you what they want from you.
So you talk a lot with the sales reps on a daily basis, and you also talk to aspiring sales reps, and that's a lot about what our conversation is geared towards today. Is there anything you'd want to tell to someone hoping to enter the field or become a sales rep themselves and create their own territory?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, be prepared to hear the word no a lot. That's something I tell a lot of the aspiring sales reps that I work with and interview is you're going to hear the word no a lot, and especially in the beginning. And it's tough. You have to be able to take those no's and both turn them into yeses, but also turn them into relationship building opportunities. So instead of just taking no at face value, I think it's about proving yourself to whether it be other coaches or whatever kind of sales you're in, proving yourself to your customer base and understanding that making your customers happy and understanding how to solve their problems and understanding how to ask questions to kind of guide them in the direction you want them to go is so important. And if you just take that no at face value, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. And it's so easy, especially when you're first getting into it. It's so easy to take that no and, kind of internalize it. But the whole point about being a sales rep is growing relationships, not gaining business. And I think that's the most important thing is make sure that you are doing whatever you can for the people that are currently wanting to work with you and don't focus on what is not happening at the current moment because at the end of the day it's not about you as a sales rep. I mean, yes, you're getting your commission off of what you bring in, but it's none of this is about the sales rep. It's all about the customer at the end of the day and what they want and what can help them.
Relationships. That's the
100%.
I've been hearing. So your job is different from the sales rep, but since you work in the same kind of realm, I was wondering what's one thing that makes you really good at your job and anything maybe you're working on growing this year?
My job, you're right, is a little bit different from the traditional sales rep job. I think for me, staying focused and schedulized is super, super top priority for me. And of course, there's going to be weeks and days where emergency situations happen where you're not able to stick to your time blocking or stick to the schedule. And of course, you can adjust and figure things out and make it work for you on those particular days. But overall, I try to be super schedulized because if I'm not, I it's gonna throw me off for the entire week. Like I'll just give you a quick example with cold calling. I personally have to do 25 a week. I know that's significantly less than a lot of the other sales reps, but again, I have different responsibilities than them. If I don't do those 5 calls a day throughout the week, it's not going to happen because I frankly don't have time to do 15, 20, 25 calls in one day. It's just not feasible for me. But if I can break it down into those like smaller segmented portions, it's a lot simpler and actually gets the job done a lot easier. To answer your second question about what I'm working on, I think this year I'm trying to be present as much as possible. It's so easy, especially in the startup world, when you have so many different things circling all the time to kind of future trip and think about the 15 to 20 things that you have to get done within a given day, week, what have you. Staying present in those conversations that I am having and trying not to be answering text messages, trying not to be answering too many emails, and just being in the moment and prioritizing what needs to be on the plate in this particular second is definitely something I'm working on currently.
What is changing the most in the fundraising industry right now?
COVID had a big impact on how we get work done, and that has expanded into the fundraising industry as well. There's also just, I mean, as everybody knows, there's a lot going on in the school industry